We have only these 5 very daunting challenges left. Now, I think the easiest one to get into next would actually be this one. The hardest part, I think, is these 2 inverted pyramid shapes, which we need to construct entirely manually out of these. I think we should focus on that first then, if it's going to be the hardest part. I think I know how I want to do this. So, we can construct half of this, or wait, perhaps a quarter of all of these. The quarter would be probably the most modular of the ideas. The way we can do that also is with something similar to a traditional stamping process we use. Not sure if that would work though, not entirely sure. Might want to build that upper one and the lower one separately. So perhaps have one be here. Oh wait, I have an idea. Look at what I can do. Actually, don't even need this one, I don't think. Or do we? Only that one. And of course we're going to need the traditional style of splitter here. Wait, what happened? Oh, that's the problem, hold on. There, it's fixed. Or is it? Now that could pose a problem. Perhaps we should focus on one axis at a time, like usual. Otherwise this may become quite problematic. Here. So we have rows of 2 and rows of 3 being constructed just like we need. Then after that, we can send this through the alternate axes to form the complete product. So first let's take a look if the 1 of 3 works well. Not at all. Let's see exactly what happens. Oh, that's what happens. That's what I missed. So this actually needs to go ahead by 1. Just to give it enough breathing room. There, now that's working correctly. Need to make sure that none of these parts interfere with each other. And now we can focus on attaching these parts to each other correctly. And that would need to probably happen on a lower layer. I actually need this to happen in both of these configurations separately, because we can't rotate on either the X or Y axis. We can only rotate on the Z axis, as you can see. Which is actually a strange limitation. Another thing we can do while we're doing this is build these pillars. And I don't think that would actually be too difficult. We just need to know exactly how high these are first. 8. There. Now those are prepared for when they can be used. That was probably one of the simplest parts we're going to need to make, except for just slotting in the core. Hold on, I'm noticing something. In order to even weld the core into this... Wait. No, this cannot be. I missed something. The insides of these pyramids are hollowed out in the top and bottom, you can see. And that means that this shape is actually incorrect. That's a minor complication. And it also means that welding it in is going to be slightly more complicated than I first thought. And I think it actually also means that we can't do it the way I was planning. I feel like that would mean that we would need to clamp in these L pieces separately. And focus on these two big planes first. Yes. Now this is going to be a nightmare, I can already tell. So we can just assemble these 6x6, these 6 square planes. Yeah, that's going to be one of the simplest parts of this step of the process. And here's where we can make the L's. In fact, that's probably not even preferable. What would be a better way to do that? Yeah, we can focus on that later. Actually, since we're just going to be immediately making these into planes, probably don't even need that complication. So now we can just have it be like this. And there. Now this can be those planes on the top and bottom. Need to check that this machine produces them correctly first though. Yes. I think these pillars should be the last thing we put in. The core should probably be the second thing we put in after the two planes. Actually, that's what we should attach the two planes to each other with. Those L pieces should be the last thing. No, the second to last thing in. And this splitter, I think the design of it is actually obsolete now. So we can actually calculate the ratio of the planes to the L's in their units. So a hollow square of blocks this size, that's 12 for this one and 24 overall. And for the two planes, that's 6 squared, which is 36, times 2, which is 72 to 24. They are both divisible by 2. Firstly, I've noticed 24 divides into 12 by 2, and 74 divides into 47? Hold on. 74. 4 divides to 2. 70 divides to 45. Or is that correct? No, 35. 45 would be 90 divided by 2. That's 37. Which I think is prime. Which is bad. That's a huge prime. And the other one would be 12. 37 to 12. Checking the factors of a number is not easy. Where you're I don't... I've probably done this for long enough now. I think instead of just balancing this splitter for the two prime factors that we're going to be using separately from each other, we should probably just balance it a different way, because this is ridiculous. The splitter is good enough. Now about these cores. That's not a lot of lift. This is not the right way to do this, by the way. A good engineer takes measurements instead of doing it the brute force way. So that's pretty close to the... Actually, I think that's the level it needs to be on. And I'm pretty sure this is correct. No. Now let's see here. Yes. And so we can use that now. Primarily for this part we're going to be putting it onto. Oh, I just had another idea. We need to make 8 of these L's per every 2 of these planes. We can use those factors. So for every once this fires, we need to fire that 4 times. I see.